Hey there, and welcome. Whether you're here for stories filled with magic, deep character journeys, or just a place to escape into a new world, you are in the right place. This is where art, music, storytelling, and a little local history come together to create something truly special. So grab a cozy spot, open your mind to the possibilities, and let's dive into a world where magic is real and every story holds a secret waiting to be discovered. Welcome to the adventure, and let's begin. Chapter 1: Routine and Reality. Julia Willems, a 16-year-old girl, stared at the ceiling of her small bedroom with half open eyes. Her long, dark blonde curls were tangled around her head, and she rubbed her face tiredly. Her dark brown eyes drifted to the poster above her bed, an old artwork that had always fascinated her, but this morning she didn't have the energy to look at it for long. The first thing she felt was a dull pain deep in her joints. Her knees cracked as soon as she moved. Her wrists felt bruised, and her ankles, well, they felt like someone had taken a hammer and smashed them. Is everything in the right spot? She slowly moved her fingers, checking if nothing had dislocated. A sigh escaped her lips. No, it didn't. She didn't feel like facing the day. She had to go to school. But all she really wanted to do was turn over and skip the day entirely. Her hair was a tangled mess, her skin felt dry and tight, and she really was not in the mood to pretend that everything was fine again. She buried her face in her pillow, letting out a muffled "ugh" from her throat. Then she forced herself to sit up. No more time to complain. Stop being dramatic. Just get up, she muttered to herself. Like always, she had learned to ignore her pain. Your mother has it worse, and she needs you, whispered her own voice inside her head. Her mother. That was the reason Julia always pushed her own complaints aside. She had learned from a young age that if her mother got too upset or too stressed, she would be out of commission for days due to pain and exhaustion, or worse, she could have an attack. And if that happened, well, Julia hated the thought, so she kept herself under control, like always. Her body screamed, but she never listened. She got out of bed and stretched, even though her joints protested. Her bedroom was small but filled with her creations. Paintings hung on the walls, wooden discs with burned-in mandalas, and tapestries with abstract figures she once made. Her flugelhorn and her cello stood in the corner next to the piano, covered by a thin layer of dust. Music had once been an amazing outlet for her, a way to stop feeling, but she didn't always have the energy to play anymore. The smell of toast and coffee drifted through the house. That meant her mother was having a good morning. Julia walked down the stairs, letting her hand glide along the railing for extra support. In the kitchen, she saw her mother sitting at a table with a steaming cup of coffee. Her dark hair was loosely tied up in a bun, and her gaze was calm as she took a sip. She had a soft smile on her face, the kind that mothers have when they're trying to hold on to a moment of peace. Julia glanced at the clock. Her father had already left for work, as usual, before she had even woken up. The silence in the house felt both familiar and slightly empty without his morning presence. She walked to the medicine cabinet and took out the daily pill box. With a practiced motion, She placed a glass of water on the table and set the box beside it. Without a word, she slid the medication toward her mother, who gave her a graceful look before taking them without any protest. "Good morning, sweetheart," her mother said cheerfully, though her voice sounded a little too thin. Julia nodded and poured herself some tea, the warmth comforting her hands. "Did you sleep well?" she asked. Her mother her mother shrugged. "It was okay. You?" "Mwah," Julia muttered, stirring her tea without actually drinking it. Her stomach felt unsettled, and she knew she wouldn't be able to eat anything. The nausea clung to her like a heavy blanket, something she had grown used to, but still resisted. A brief silence stretched between them, an unspoken pact of carefully balancing what could be said and what was better left unsaid. "I got a letter from your school," her mother suddenly said, holding up an envelope. Julia's stomach twisted. School mail usually meant bad news. "It's about a field trip," her mother continued, "to Hoensbroek's castle. That used to be one of your favorite places to visit, wasn't it?" Julia stopped stirring her tea. Castle Hoensbroek? The old towers, the medieval rooms, the scent of ancient stones. As a child she had visited often, until her mother became too sick, and outings were no longer an option. "When?" she finally asked. "In a week?" She didn't know whether to be excited or not. It sounded amazing, but it also meant a whole day of walking, standing, and pushing through the pain without anyone noticing. "You don't have to go if you don't want to," her mother said softly. Julia nodded, but deep down she already knew she would go. She couldn't say no. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any ideas, thoughts, just leave a comment. Do not hesitate. If you liked it, just like it. And if you want to be right there when I post new chapters, just subscribe and I will catch you again. For now, I will go to bed, curl up with my cats, and prepare for another magical day tomorrow. Bye.